Hi, this video is about place value representations, and we have several categories of place value representations that we want to look at and then talk about how they can be connected with each other. It's important that kids have a chance to think about place value through visual representations, and we already looked at groupable and pre-group models. These manipulatives are certainly place value representations, but we can also make drawings that parallel these types of models, so we can just draw counters and group them together by circling objects together. And so kids are thinking about, how can I make 10 things into one thing, that unitizing concept. A little more advanced is a pre-group type of model with drawings where you draw squares for 100s, strips for 10, dots for individual units. And so students can't break apart these pieces as easily, so it parallels the pre-grouped. As they get comfortable with this, they don't even tend to draw rectangles for the strips, just lines for the strips, and just little dots for the dots. But they understand these ideas underlying those square strips and dots as they grow more comfortable with it. Another category of representations are the oral names that we give to numbers. Names are conventions, so students need to be taught about what these things are and what they mean. And the standard names, there are often patterns in names that are useful for kids to learn about. For example, if we're talking about numbers in the 30s, 31, 32, 33, 34, we keep using this word 30 over and over again. And the fact that 30 is actually 3 tens, that's an important thing for kids to learn and to think about. However, some of our names don't fit the patterns too well. For example, the name 12 doesn't really fit into any patterns in our counting, so they just need to learn that 12 is actually representing 110 and 2 more. And so where there are patterns, we can use them to help kids. Where there aren't, we need to help them think about the meanings in those names. We can also use base 10 language, which makes the relationships more explicit so that students can see what's going on in the meanings. And this is an example of base 10 language. If instead of saying 12, we say 110 and 2 more, that's base 10 language. We need to make connections between that and the standard names so that kids are learning about what the standard names mean. The base 10 language makes it clear that we're talking about tens, or if we get up to hundreds, things like that. However, there still is a strange idea in here for kids as they learn this. For example, talking about 110. It's this unitizing idea again. They need to think about 10 as an individual thing, but they also need to think about it as 10 ones at the same time. Even harder, hundreds, thinking about it as 10 tens, but also 100 individual ones. These are ideas that kids need chances to wrestle with and think about. Another type of representation is written names. And so connected to that base 10 language, we can write down the numerals 200, 7 tens, 3 ones, and kids can think about what that means and try to make connections to an expanded notation form. Instead of writing 273 in the standard way, we can write 200 plus 70 plus 3. And now they're thinking about how this represents 200s, this 7 tens, and this 3 ones. Hidden written names are a neat way to help kids think about this. It looks like this, 273, and you have these cards. There's a 70 on this card and a 3 on this card, so you can remove the 3 and see, oh, that 7 is actually 70. Or you can remove the 70 and the 3 and see, oh, the 2 is actually 200. And then you put those cards back on, and altogether we have 273. And that can lead them to understanding the meaning of the standard notation. This isn't just 2, it's actually 200. Ultimately, we want to make connections between these representations and help kids understand those connections. So helping them make connections between the representations and connections to counting so they develop meaning and a rich understanding of place value. We can accomplish this by providing them many, many opportunities to count and to use all these different representations, presenting them with tasks that require them to make connections between representations, and then trying to assess what our students understand and move them forward from where they're at, helping them develop this rich understanding of place value.